Toastmasters, I want to tell you tonight about a new service that I think can revolutionize the way the LLM industry works by bringing the power of LLMs to the economy at a much reduced price point. I'm going to start by sharing 4 observations about the way this industry works and also about how investors think. Just to give you a preview, the observations are, number one, there's huge spending on AI data centers. Number two, there's a high price premium for operating in a data center because of very stringent uptime requirements that these data centers have to maintain. Number three, open source LLMs are actually quite competitive. Number four, small investors love passive income opportunities. A little bit different idea, but it goes along with the concept. Insight number one, there's an enormous amount of money that's being spent on AI data center development. The most recent figure is 400 billion. That was just 2025. This graph shows that the AI companies are spending more on infrastructure development than oil companies. Just an enormous amount of money that's flowing into this sector. And that's probably going to continue to go up in 2026. Insight number two is that this work and this infrastructure is being built in data centers. And data centers are very special in that they have to maintain really, really high uptime guarantees. It makes sense. If you're a bank, if you're a business running out of a data center and the data center goes down for an hour, that could be a real problem for your business because your customers won't be able to do their banking, figure out where their data is. It's incredibly important that this data is always available to the customer base. So that high level of uptime requirements has a lot of infrastructure that behind it. They have to have dedicated cooling, dedicated power supplies, dedicated internet connections, all of this machinery and infrastructure that provides that uptime guarantee. Now, if you don't care that much about uptime, if you're okay with just 99% uptime as opposed to 99.999, then you can just put a server in your basement and you'll get a decent result at a much reduced price point. Point number three is that open source models are actually quite good. There's a huge competition going on in the AI world. The research companies are continually developing new models and sharing them with the world. Everyone's constantly trying to leapfrog the person in front of them and roll out the new best model. And as a result of this competition, the open source models, which people are just giving away for free, are actually pretty good. You can see here the bar with the purple arrow over it is the GPT OSS 120. And it's not the best, but it's very competitive with the middle of the pack. The best models are just a little bit better. I used extensively GPT-4, which is actually not as good as the open source version. Open source models are quite good. And finally, here's something about what I would call small investors. There's a lot of people in the world who love low maintenance, passive income opportunities. Classic examples of this are storage facilities and automatic car washes. Once you invest and build the facility, get all the equipment you need and start running it, it doesn't take a lot of additional effort to generate that income. You don't need to hire a lot of people. You don't need to do a lot of buying and selling. You're just allowing people to pay you for the option of using that facility. Investors love this idea because it generates income passively. All right, now let me show you how the current LLM industry works, and then I'll show you my new idea. So the current setup is that users generate LLM queries. This could be human users or automatic services. The LLM queries go into the cloud data centers. Either if it's OpenAI, it's running in an Azure data center. Typically, if it's Anthropic, it's in an AWS data center. And these companies are providing the service but they're spending a lot of money to run in these data centers because, as I mentioned, they have to have the high uptime guarantees of the data center. All right, here's a new model. In this new model, what's happening is the LLM queries are coming in like before, but now they're going to a routing service, and this routing service spools them out to independent compute businesses running open source LLMs. So what this is basically a warehouse that's full of GPU computers that are running open source models and fielding these queries as they come in and sending the response back out. They don't store anything. They just take the query, crunch the result, send it back to the originator. And the key point here is that these facilities don't need high levels of uptime guarantees because if one of these nodes breaks, if one of the facilities goes down for an hour, it's not the end of the world. The routers just send the request to a different service and everything continues as normal. So there's no customer on the phone screaming at you asking where their data is. You just have to you lose a little bit of income as the operator, but it's not the end of the world. So if you want to set up this kind of business, it's very simple. You get a bank loan, you rent a warehouse and buy a bunch of GPUs, you hire some local tech guys to set up the machines, you register with the routing service, they start sending you the queries, and then you start making money. And after you've set up that facility, you just have passive income and the money flows in. Now, this routing service also is a very attractive business model because it's very simple. So what this service does is you just fields these incoming requests, forwards it to the compute providers. You charge a markup, 25% extra from what you pay to the compute providers. It's just a very easy, clean, simple business model. So, in summary, this approach can service the growing demand for LLM queries that is being generated by the economy, and it can do so at a much cheaper price point than building out these huge data centers with their really high uptime requirements. It's a great opportunity for small investors, and it's a simple and clean business model for the routing service company. So I hope you will consider either investing or starting one of the compute facilities. Thanks very much.